when I last spoke. And of course, you are now the leading health, fitness, and wellness experts in the country. Congratulations. So great to know that you've had a very, very long and successful journey. And I'm so pleased you've joined me. Morning, salaam alaikum, and welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam, Auntie Julie. It's so good to see you again. I often see you walking up and down the neighborhood at times, when I look for that intentional person that walk. I love it. So it's so good to join you again.
Well, I'm glad you've noticed my efforts and that they've not gone wasted. You're the health expert, Ronald. Our journey goes way back to CII days. Yeah. Subsequent to that, alhamdulillah, you've gone on, you've become, you occupying space in the corporate world as far as health and wellness is concerned. You had a long journey and a long relationship way back with ANN7, I think it was. You did the most amazing health shows with them as well. How did this all start for you? I know way back at CII, you were deeply entrenched into this passion of yours, and that is health and wellness.
Yeah. It's always been a passion. I mean, from my study years as well. I've been a martial artist since I was 4 years old. And grew it in appreciating the benefit of health and fitness in many facets. Through that, I declined an opportunity to do medicine. I rather still studied for 6 years, but focused more on exercise science and human movement science. But I started the business off with literally 100 Rand. And at that point, I got my lecturers to write me health and fitness content, and I published it onto an online platform. At that point, it was iCricketer with Hamza Faruqi's platform, and I did it with Shahid Osmani. And it just naturally grew. And as it grew, I said to myself, one thing is to inform people on media. The second thing is to give them the ability to take what they hear and put it into practice. And that led to the business of the mobile fitness solution and corporate fitness. And in that process, the next journey on that was that we mobilized our trainers nationally, built up a network, and they got mobilized nationally to go to people and create customized health and fitness solutions. But I then took it to another level. I realized that as we were talking to people and individuals and transforming their lives, we were actually engaging people. And in the corporate space, as we realized the impact of health and fitness in improving the bottom line of the corporate, we realized that we are actually engaging employees. How do we do that further in the realm of human connection? And that led to a media business that drives digital content. We're actually the largest digital health fitness content provider with VOD content, a full production house that manages that, a corporate arm that focuses on training and engagement to take that change into the organization and allow organization to identify individual pulse of an employee and the organizational pulse, and a health and wellness division, because that's my passion. That mobilizes digital and virtual fitness. So live classes, what you can do, chat to a trainer, chat to other custodians in the wellness space, physios, doctors, bios, accessible all the time, book for it, pay for it. So I don't need to go to a doctor or someone to do that. And the final division is our technology one. So we've launched our enterprise development solution that creates the Facebook of health and fitness. And that's in corporate right now and going to expand out, because if you are walking, you can inspire so many other people. So we're flipping the route of content providers into community groupings, and that's what we're aiming to do with health and fitness.
Now, you spent many years doing fitness programs on ANN7. Yeah. That's what it was called, was it not? Yes, they've now shut shop, and you've had to reinvent yourself, not only as far as they're concerned, in this current stage that we're living in under lockdown, COVID-19. And I've just been talking to someone else. She is in the coaching and mentoring space with teens, and I asked her how has she reinvented herself, and you and I know, and she has also expressed the same thought, is that post-lockdown our normal is going to be a new normal. Things are going to change. People are thinking about life, lifestyle, health, absolutely everything very differently. And I think bottom line here also is finances. What is it that you're doing differently, Ronald, that's going to be appealing, is going to be affordable, is going to be doable, and we're going to have a healthy nation going forward?
So, Julie, from your mouth to everyone's ears, our goal is yes to create health. I've always said that for people, they must realize their first wealth is their health. We only tend to realize that later on in life when we lose, or dealing with a disease or something of the sort, such as COVID. How we've done since, Auntie Julie, is that I've looked at the business, and even when COVID hit in, as part of our business, do you know that we were the first organization to be endorsed and utilize the NICD professors before the Department of Health in Africa launched it? We have the accreditation and the endorsement for our video content. We took that video content and we realized something. People want on-tap, relevant, real information that is fact-based for them to make informed decisions. So the same thing happens with health and fitness. You can log onto the internet and you can find a fitness class. You can log onto the internet, find information on a diet if you want to. But you cannot log onto the internet at a fairly low price and chat to a professional for what's relevant for you. And then find a credible group for you to join digitally and or in person when we move into different lockdown phases of engaging with them. So what we've done is we've mastered the art and pivoted our business into the digital realm. So I sit with you right now in our office with our studio that's been built and it's sitting here being mobilized. This is a plug and play solution. And we're taking this content onto people's mobile phones that allows us to mitigate the risk of data charges and then give them the opportunity to buy into an additional service of, if they want to, check into a provider, etc., at a preferential rate. And we're leveraging off schemes and medical schemes, etc., to look at how we can co-fund the opportunity. So within that space, I'm using content that is credible, that is real-time, that is live or video on demand based, and offering a service that people could choose to buy into if they choose to. But if they don't choose to buy into the service, they still get the value of health and fitness in the free engagement process.
Wow. Is this going to put gyms out of business?
These germs, man. I remember even back in the day when you and I used to sit and chat, and you said to me, "Go open up a gym." And I said, "No. A gym gives me 4 walls and equipment, and I'm more worried about the number of members I have on my book and the people changing their lives." Gyms, do they really care whether you are on the treadmill or not? Do they really care if you are achieving your goal or not? Or is the medical scheme more interested in you mitigating your health risk? When we take the personal approach into what we do, I always say to people, your body is your gym. If you choose to go to a gym facility, that's your choice. If you choose to train at home, which I do with my body, that's my choice. But I realize it works for me. The time that I have, the motivation I have, the digital structure that I have, the support that I have. So what we're trying to do is give people a more informed opportunity to make a choice for what works for them.
What I've also noticed is that you've been involved in health and fitness webinars. Yeah. Is this the way that the world's going to be moving? And you obviously the first person that I know of in South Africa that has gone this route. Congrats to you. Possibly even globally, you might be one of the few people that has seen a gap in the market in this COVID state that we're living in, and you've become very, very proactive. But post-COVID-19, are these spaces still going to be available? Are they still going to be workable? Are people still going to want to engage in this way? Or are we those social creatures that want the personal contact, being surrounded by people, wanting to interact, want a slap on the shoulder, a physical slap, etc., etc.?
Yeah, you're right, Julie. My belief is this, and my team will tell you, is that even before we hit this COVID phase, I'm talking about 1 year and 2 years ago, when I envisioned that I would like to offer consumers a blended scenario, a blended one being that if you like the in-person physical touch, yes, great, go to it. But have the support, the motivation, and the tools that we offer you virtually. Now, when we realize something, Julie, COVID is not going to leave us for the next while until we get a vaccine. And the only question I have is, what's next? This is not the first time we face an invisible enemy. Spanish flu, 1918, it took 4 or 5 years. We know that a vaccine is potentially likely in 1 year to 2, if not, a little bit more than that. That's a doable vaccine. We also know that we're dealing with stigma and people's mindset. So many people are so fearful I mean, I know you spoke to Bradley Daniels, an amazing clinical psychologist, a few weeks ago. And in that chat, he told you that the invisible enemy we're fighting makes even stepping out of our doors a fearful exercise. So within that space, I believe that people will appreciate the convenience that this offers. So we will still maintain a wonderful market share, if not a bigger one. But in the same breath, we don't exclude the in-person solutions. So in essence, my philosophy and my intention in our business is to make it a blended solution to cater for both entities. Because through our system, you can book, engage, pay for an in-person solution, but you could also book, pay for, and engage in a digital solution. The choice is yours. You choose what works for you. We will just facilitate that through our environment and our space.
How do people log on and sign on to the services that you're offering?
Well, right now we've kept it for free. So they can log on to myhealthtv.com. All the VOD content is there. There is access to our webinars. That's our My Health Live. There's access to all of these things. I mean, the other day we had a webinar to Julian. We had 2,000 people in. An amazing guest that came in and out, and we chatted to a couple of professors about what's happening. Now we're creating customized content for schools to say to them, this is what you need to do as a teacher, as a parent, and as a learner. How do you inform and educate? So it's for free right now. Log on there. This is how we're trying to support our nation and the world through this COVID period. myhealthtv.com. Log on, have a look, join in, see. We want nothing from you except to be informed with credible and the correct information for you to make your choice.
I like your thinking. What I also liked is the one webinar that you had, I think dealt with issues around, I think you had someone from SADC on the webinar as well. Correct me if I'm wrong. Kathy Chambers.
Yeah.
You know, these type of partnerships and these webinars that you're putting together is very holistic. It's not just one-sided. And I'm liking what you're doing there, because you're touching the whole person, you're touching the whole community, you're touching the whole nation. Yeah. Where does this thinking come from, and who are the partners that are also hooking in? I think it's phenomenal. Really, I'm loving your thinking.
No, thank you, Auntie Julie, for that. You know, I must say to you, it starts off with an amazing team. So in my team, with all those divisions, we have the heads, and everyone is collaborative. So every morning at 8:30, I have a check-in with the entire team. Wherever they're sitting in the world, they must dial in, and they can hear what's happening in the strategic impetus of the business. And through that process, the passion and the joy by which they're doing what they're doing to inform and educate people, that comes to the party. So I just stepped off a webinar just before this, 2 minutes before, with the SMME head dealing with championing small to medium enterprises in this COVID period. And the thinking happens is that we are not in isolation as beings. There are different facets to our well-being, our financial, our spiritual, our social, our personal, our physical, our mental, our emotional. There's 12 facets of this wellness wheel, and we try to cater for each and every one of them. Now, in that process, we've aligned and partnered with people that we believe in, organizations that have the essence of credibility that we have. At any touch point, you cannot question whether you agree or disagree. They come from a point of innate credibility. And when that happens, I'm not going to give out content for people to agree with everyone. I will give you the content according to what the science and the facts say. You need to make a choice on whether you adhere to that or not. And our partners are, like you said, SADC, of NICD, NIOH, National Institute of Occupational Health. Our partners existing to numerous corporate partners as well. We package content. Airports Company South Africa, especially in relation to travel right now and those kinds of restrictions. UNDP, United Nations Development Program in South Africa with Dr. Ayo. How we support them in mobilizing and creating awareness on the groundbreaking supportive solutions for our communities on the ground. So those are some of the key partners we have in place, as well as the distribution of our content partners, making life a lot easier for them to get the credible information to distribute out to their audiences. So that's where we sit in. Strategic alliances and partnerships become critical in our space, but we are seen as a key conduit of the source of a lot of the information when it comes to not just facts on COVID or facts on this, but the emotions and the feelings behind what people are feeling and how we can give them the how-tos to address that and deal with that in real time.
Ronald, you were exposed to a life of sport from the tender age of 4. And obviously, I've heard this mantra over and over again: expose your children to sport from a very early age, and you'll have a very healthy mind, body, and soul right into old age. Sadly, people watching us this morning might suggest that Julie and Ronald are targeting your middle and upper middle class society in South Africa and globally. What about those that are marginalized? What about people that are living tent to a shack? What about the poorest of the poor? How do we reach out to them? How do we explain to them and suggest to them that sport and a healthy lifestyle is the way to go? And they are the majority of South Africa. They're the majority of our nation. Those are the people we need to reach. What are you, Ronald, doing with your group of professionals and professional businesses behind you, and possibly government as well, because they need to come on board as well? I mean, we worry about, top of mind is COVID-19. We know we haven't reached our peak. We know towards the end of the year, September onwards, we're going to see a massive peak. We're going to see a lot of sick people. We're going to see a lot of deaths. I'm not a fortune teller, but, you know, common sense tell us that this is how it's going to go. How do we uplift the entire South Africa? How do you and I and the rest of your partners make a difference to the rest of South Africa, very especially the marginalized?
That is a fantastic question, Auntie Julie. You know, and as you said that, it resonated deep within my soul, because that is the question that I constantly pose to my team, that whatever solution we identify, how do we take that and make it accessible to the majority of our citizens? And the majority of our citizens do not have money for data, do not have those mobile phones or technologies, do not even have money for food or education. So how do we do this? So what we've done is, Auntie Julie, we've created, remember I spoke to you earlier about the group model. It's essentially creating communities. So within those communities, with our network of over 255 trainers, biokineticists, and all these, you know, other fitness and health professionals, we've created a system whereby it's mobilizing communities to develop well-being champions in communities. We support them, we train them, we groom them, and in that process, you know, we're actually finalizing our CETA accreditation to get them qualified through a particular NQF system, that they can become the champions. We then do entrepreneurial training and business training with them, so that they can create their own little business in their community and create the relevant solutions that's live and in person in a space that's theirs. So it's cooperatives with certain government departments, such as in Johannesburg, Joburg City Parks and Zoo, mobilizing open park spaces in a safe space with a qualified individual to conduct these types of interventions, talks, etc. That is one way that we are looking at it, because it's pushing employment, it's pushing training, it's pushing community change. And the next thing that we do is we look at what is the traditional media that's out there that's reaching the majority of the people. We know that radio works. We know that there's community stations out there as well, and provide them with the content to syndicate. Cape Town TV came to us and said, your COVID content, can we utilize it to distribute to the Cape Town community? Because we know that COVID stats are extremely high in the Western Cape. And we said to them, here you go, take it. We have over 300 of those videos available that are up to date and credible. By all means, take it. They were like, we don't have money to pay. I said, I didn't ask you for money. Take it and distribute. And those are some of the methods we are looking at within that space that we have within our control. But definitely, we call it the Wellbeing Champion Train-the-Trainer system. That is something that is very close to my heart, and to drive that further and further communities. I mean, there's communities that we are supporting with our partners that I didn't know they existed on the map. I mean, when I look at the map, I'm like, I can't find this place in the Eastern Cape. And when I get the pictures, it's lush green lands, and you just see the community coming out of the villages and their huts, and they're engaging with that custodian. And the methodology we're creating, Auntie Julie, is by you, for you. It's by South Africa for South Africans. And that is what we try to bring in to support them.
I'm so pleased that I decided to have you on the show this morning. You know, it is encouraging to come across young people like yourself that is so passionate about your craft. But not only are you sitting with it and being selfish about it, or thinking that you could become an overnight millionaire, by doing whatever it is, putting a price to it, you are giving back. You're putting back into the community, and that is highly commendable. Ronald, you are a superstar. Going forward, we have another huge problem in the country. Being a health expert as you are, what is it that we do about the issue around alcoholism and drug abuse? How early enough do we need to start in talking to our children about this? And then what about those people that have been addicted for years on end and trying to rehabilitate them? Do you see yourself in this space? Do you believe that you can do work in this space and possibly save lives in the process?
Auntie Julie, most definitely so. And I want to add a third prong to that question, gender-based violence, because
of course,
those are key interlinked. Now, I must tell you, it's a very personal thing to me, because when I look at alcoholism and so forth, I mean, I have family members that are alcoholics. I mean, I have uncles that are 70 years old, been in and out of rehabs, and they're alcoholics. I have family members that are addicted to drugs. I have family members that are victims and perpetrators of gender-based violence. So as I look at it, it comes from a point of personal reference. We believe that, and we've done this already in certain communities, and we speak to drug addicts and young teens, and they enter their young adulthood lives that are dealing with alcoholism. And alcoholism becomes, and drug addiction, even gender-based violence, and observational learning in how they're growing up. So it boils down to not just targeting them, it's targeting the parents and the older generation as to how they do this. For example, a young kid sees parents, uncles smoking, and what do? It's a cool thing to do because the adults are smoking. And smoking starts off, and then you then try a puff or two, you cough, and then you carry on. Your uncle sends you, your aunt or whoever sends you to go buy cigarettes down the corner or alcohol down the road. You buy the alcohol, you come in, and it's almost like a norm. It's a norm to have a glass of wine with dinner. It's a norm to have this with a meal. It's a norm to see that, you almost get normalized to it. And it breaks my heart to say that we're normalizing these risks and these toxicities of gender-based violence too. Because young men grow up thinking, hey, if a woman doesn't listen, I'm going to beat you. Because they see it happening in their space. And what happens? Then the perpetrator deals with it, they over it, they come back, hug and cuddle, and things are okay. And the victim boils down to just dealing with it, accepting it, shouting, screaming, ranting, and raving, going to the police, but nothing happens. So you're normalizing this behavior. And that's creating even deeper toxicity. Our role becomes in, how do we inform, educate, and guide, not just the young kids and the ones that are currently addicted into it? Because when you're addicted to those things, it boils down to a personal choice for behavior change. I can send you to a rehab. It doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And the behavior change modification comes in, is helping people create these support groups, as I've mentioned to you, creating the structured programs around that, and begin to work with further leaders in communities to begin to flip and change this. To change the thinking of parents, to change the thinking of communities, to change the thinking of teachers who are in charge of inspiring and motivating the youth, because that's a generation we need to start informing as to the risks thereof. There's been a massive change, Auntie Julie, if you look at it from young girls and missing school and the whole campaigns regarding menstrual pads and menstrual cycles and those kinds of things. And that has mobilized the world into supporting those initiatives. But it took a while to get there. And the more rallies we can get in place rallying from custodians, communities, from organizations and the individuals themselves, we can do that. Our content, our information is linked to what happens in the life of someone that's untook. What happens in their mind? What happens in their hearts? What's the effect on people? We did a series with a lady called Mama Rose from Orange Farm. And Mama Rose started an organization to support gender-based violence in Orange Farm. And Mama Rose talks about her story of being raped at the age of 50 and being raped again at the age of 55. How helpless she felt, how unempowered she felt. But Mama Rose said that she noticed every mark on that person's face, anything that you could remember, and went to the police, and in that instance got them arrested. And I asked myself the question, how many more people are going through that? How many more kids are currently in the space of being in this space? So that's all that we can do for now, Auntie Julie, is highlight these programs, create the awareness, and let people begin to make informed choices. And for people like Mama Rose, support them in their communities and what they've done to create more momentum in that space and gradually begin to build it out. So that's where we're at right now with that. And we work with a lot of organizations such as Tears, the alcohol associations, etc., to begin to champion this. I understand it's business for a lot of people, but I also need them to understand the impact it has when it's not in a controlled environment or space. So when someone is drinking and doing drugs, the ripple effect is so real, and we need to create that awareness from both ends of the spectrum and try to meet halfway to find where industry, society, and government and individuals find that middle ground and hybrid ground to work on. That's a tough one. It is
Ronald, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Go well. May you continue grow from strength to strength. And just remind our viewers once again how they can access all of your services.
Julie, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. It's an honor to sit with you again and to see what you're doing and support that. But if you want to engage in our content and our services, everyone, it's on myhealthtv.com. Log on, have a look. It's free. Enjoy it, engage with it, but inform yourself, your family, and your friends with the right information. And to Julie, thank you to you and Salam Media. Amazing work you are all doing. And I continue to monitor your progress and your growth within the organization.
Jazakallah and Assalamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Time for an ad break, and when we get back, we're going to be talking to his producer at Radio 702 about his journey through COVID-19.